Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel, and in our top story today from The Guardian, DOJ and FBI officials consult lawyers aim threats of Trump legal retribution. Well, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, here on the BuzWeaver channel, we know that the establishment uniparty has hijacked our culture, hijacked our institutions, and hijacked our justice system. And now, Donald Trump, the president-elect, will then be taking office, and he will be assigning people to be over these departments. And of course, their biggest concern is with Matt Gaetz and even Kash Patel. But as we can see here, Matt Gaetz' nomination as AG intensifies concerns that President-elect will prosecute former political enemies. Well, the thing about it is the reason they are his political enemies is because they assigned themselves to be his political enemies. They engaged in prosecutorial misconduct. They engaged in lawfare. And they engaged essentially in election interference because the purpose behind it wasn't necessarily for the rule of law or justice, but for the purposes of making Donald Trump look like a one-dimensional villain. It's absolutely extraordinary. Officials from the Justice Department and FBI have begun consulting lawyers aimed fears that they will be prosecuted when Donald Trump returns to the White House, it has been reported. Well, you know, you engaged in all this activity, right? And you are all, the attitude that they have is, well, what are you going to do about it? Or who is going to do anything about it? Well, now we can see that there's going to be people that are going to do something about it, right? You got Matt Gaetz and you got Kash Patel. How fierce Trump ally Kash Patel could help reshape the FBI or Justice Department. Yeah, they need to clean house. Last year, as Donald Trump's re-election bid was underway, he declared that a new book by his fiercely loyal advisor, Kash Patel, would serve as a blueprint for his next administration. This is the roadmap to end the deep state's reign, Trump said of the book on his Truth social media platform. Titled Government Gangsters, is called for a comprehensive house cleaning of the Justice Department and eradication of government tyranny within the FBI by firing the top ranks, of course, and prosecuting to the fullest extent of the law anyone who in any way abused their authority for political ends. I couldn't agree more, and this is exactly why when people talk to me about Donald Trump, why is it that I would support Donald Trump, right? And, of course, they go into their whole tirade of his convictions and this, that, and the other. And this is why, because he needs to clean house. The establishment uniparty, the deep state, have been the biggest problem to our country for decades. And then, of course, as we were mentioning here, they're going after Matt Gaetz. For those who don't know, Matt Gaetz is an American politician and lawyer who served as the U.S. representative for Florida's 1st District from January 2017 until his resignation in November 2024. So for 7 years he served. And, of course, he resigned so that he could take the position as AG. But, of course, just like with Brett Kavanaugh, they're going after him. Here's what we know about the investigation into Matt Gaetz. Now, this took place back in 2020. So I'm going to come down here and just kind of give you guys a brief cursory look because of the language and, what's going on here. So what are the accusations against him? Excuse me. In 2020, federal investigations arrested Joel Greensberg, a friend of Gaetz at the time, and a rising figure in Florida politics, on charges of minor activity. The former Seminole County tax collector was charged with 33 felonies and pled guilty in 2021 to 6 charges, including the activities with minor stalking, wire fraud, identity theft, and bribing of federal officials to obtain fraudulent COVID-19 relief, this, that, and the other. So you get the picture of who the Department of Justice was talking to, or who was talking to the Department of Justice. And of course, from the Federalist, House probe into Matt Gaetz relies on witness DOJ found lack credibility. So this guy just lacked the credibility for all the accusations they were making. And of course, as we already know, it interfered in the 2020 election by falsely telling social media companies that a laptop with incriminating information about the Biden family business was Russian disinformation. Of course, as we have covered here many, many times about that whole, the whole Russiagate, Russian collusion. So Gaetz had proven to be one of the most effective advocates against corruption at DOJ, and was unwilling to back down in the face of the overwhelming public pressure. However, Gaetz does not fit the education or experience profile of many previous attorney generals, as had limited experience practicing law, which I disagree with. This is just some of the language that often they use towards individuals, but Matt Gaetz would fill that role quite well. And of course, we see here from Charlie Kirk, I've had enough of this so-called House ethics report on Matt Gaetz. Of course, everyone's tired of it, right? Everybody's sick and tired of being sick and tired of the underlying allegations are so laughable and flimsy that only the purpose of it is to smear Gaetz, which is exactly what it's for, right? The report comes years after DOJ dropped its investigation into the same claims. Why did the DOJ drop the investigation? Because the claims hinge on testimony of two witnesses who have such gaping credibility issues that even the DOJ, which hates Gaetz, knew no jury would ever convict him. So, of course, you see here Greenberg, who we just mentioned here. And then, of course, he became embroiled in a series of crimes, as we just talked about. But according to a 2023 lawsuit, Greenberg repeatedly begged Gaetz to secure a pardon for him. And when Gaetz refused, Greenberg vowed vengeance. And so this is where all this is coming from, right? And so the media has to then go back and stir the pot. And here they are stirring the pot. Because we already saw that DOJ said that Greenberg and these other individuals that he names, these girls and so forth, there's no credibility because it never happened. It was never true. And now the New York Times, as of this article, which was written on November the 19th, so on Tuesday, as of November the 19th, 2024, hacker is said to have gained access to file with damaging testimony about Gaetz. Now, there isn't any damaging testimony because we already saw the report from the DOJ. And then this goes on to kind of just, again, carrot on the stick for all those on the left who are looking for anything to be able to appease their disappointment and their frustration, thinking that they have yet another individual who at any moment is going to go down. And it's not going to happen. And it's so bad. It was so bad that Sunny Houston on The View had to read a legal note because she was saying the same thing these hackers were. Well, the hackers weren't saying the specificity of what we just covered from Charlie Kirk, but this is what she had to say.
On screen.
Well done, Gaetz.
Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism, that DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
That's right. And that's why the DOJ and FBI officials are consulting lawyers. Because you see, ABC here had to consult their lawyers because Matt Gaetz could pursue Sunny Houston and ABC for defamation, which is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. He's suing ABC and George Stephanopoulos for defamation because they called him a particular name about the 𝐀𝐻𝐿𝐴 case, right? The accusations that she made. And so they identified him as the perpetrator of a particular term used in that situation, which was never arrived at by the jury. The jury never accused him of the R word, right? As you understand. And of course, now speaking of that, in the hush money case, Trump judge still awaiting Manhattan DA sentencing recommendation. Well, the recommendation is that Judge Merchan is terrified as to what's going to happen, because here we see District Attorney Alvin Bragg is still slated to file a recommendation to Judge Juan Merchan on how to proceed. Merchan can move to either delay Trump's sentencing until after he leaves the White House, can dismiss the conviction outright, or can grant a sentence of unconditional discharge, which would leave the conviction intact but free Trump from any prison time, fines, or probation. Now, of course, they always want those convictions to stick, right? Because that was the whole purpose. That's the whole reason behind the lawfare and the political persecution. Trump was convicted in May by a Manhattan jury of 34 counts of felony business records, or falsifying business records, which really never really happened. They had to raise it to a felony because they had no underlying evidence, right? And then, of course, Judge Merchan wouldn't allow evidence. As a matter of fact, he wouldn't even let Trump's attorney speak under threat of what was it? They would try to object, and he would threaten him for obstructing the court. It's absolutely ridiculous. And all this needs to be investigated, in my opinion, because, as you know, it reminds me very much of Brett Kavanaugh and Christine Blasey Ford. When they drug her out, it was Diane Assault Rifle Feinstein drugged this woman out, I should say, to suggest that she engaged in activity with Brett Kavanaugh and his friend against her, which was absolutely absurd. And of course, later, after all the knee-jerk reactions and after the smears that continue to happen, Kavanaugh accuser admits she fabricated allegations as a ploy for attention. And see, she had to be the fall person because she couldn't say it was Dianne Feinstein. She couldn't say it was the Democrats that went after her. And let me go back and just explain to you what they do, because here's Nancy Pelosi explaining exactly how the smear tactics work. It's extraordinary.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic. It's a self-fulfilling.
So you can see the Democrats admit. They're admitting. She's admitting the process and the procedure that they use to smear people, to destroy people, to engage in lawfare against people. It's absolutely despicable. And here's the thing that makes it even more infuriating. They're doing it in everyone's faces, which is why I am incredibly happy that the American people voted for Donald Trump. Not only did he win the electoral vote, but also won the popular vote. And now, of course, the GOP, the good old party, the Republicans, have won the House and the Senate. So this is going to make all of this towards the DOJ and the FBI, these officials, and, of course, other individuals, which is why Sonny Howson had to come out from ABC. Now, see, Donald Trump is going to be in control. These people are going to have to now realize the situation that they have put themselves in, right? They threw everything out. They put everything on the table. They did every nasty little trick that they could think of, every scheme, every diabolical plot they could come up with, and now they're going to be paying the price. That's right. I want to thank all you guys across New Tech, BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey for your guys' continued support. Of course, below this video, you can find the various social media links that I belong to, so I would encourage you guys to follow me there. And, of course, if you order frequently from Amazon or looking for a VPN, my affiliate links are down below. And I would encourage you guys to use the affiliate link from Amazon as your landing page. So when you place your orders or watch Prime Video and all those things you do as a Prime member, it does help me out and it does help out the channel. So I do appreciate all that. But of course, for everyone, your likes, your shares, and your comments are greatly appreciated, and I appreciate it a great deal. I think now I'm sounding redundant. But nonetheless, guys, appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon for all of you watching on YouTube specifically. You guys can click on that to subscribe, as well as to select notifications. That way you'll know when there's content here on the channel, and I'll see all you guys in the next video.